Hi, welcome along to a game of two halves with Mr. Mark Goldbridge in the building and myself, Robbie Lyle, right here on DR Sports, taking a look back at the games of the weekend. Mark, how are you doing? You must be having you got a little bit of a smile on his face because United won this weekend.
Yeah, funny weekend, and I think the Premier League at the moment is just so fascinating with, some of the results. You look at like Sunderland 2-0 to Bournemouth and they win it, and Fulham and Liverpool winning a game as well. It's been a weird weekend, and I'm not even bantering Liverpool there. I mean, it has been, and we win at Palace, so weird weekend. But I think at the moment I'm really excited about what's going on with the Prem. Very competitive, even City with Leeds as well. So lots to talk about.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Let's start off with the big game of the weekend, which I was at, which was yesterday when Chelsea played Chelsea played Arsenal, and it finished 1-1, honours even. What did you make of it, Mark?
I think it was the right result. I said in my sort of match reaction that, there might be a bit of overreaction because Liverpool won, Forest win, so the media have got to find something. So they might try and dig Arsenal out a little bit. But I think that we saw it with Everton last week with United. As a United fan, when Everton got the red card, I went, not sure about that. And people were like, what are you on about? What are you about? And I'm like, I'm experienced enough to know that going down to 10 men isn't always you think it's a positive, but actually, Chelsea before that were really playing on the front foot. And I think Arsenal was set up to exploit that space. And as soon as Chelsea go down to 10 men, they become the counter-attacking team. And I think for Arsenal, people might look at it as a missed opportunity. Personally, I think take the point, move on, and the title will be about the title winners will be about the team that wins other games, not that. So I think from Arsenal's point of view, it might be technically a missed opportunity. And Chelsea did play very well, but I don't think it's going to be a bad point in the context of things. And I thought Chelsea were good for a point. I thought Chelsea did play well, but the red card doesn't always work in your favour. And I think there was no period in that game where Arsenal were really laying siege to the Chelsea goal. So I thought a point was about right.
Yeah, it reminded me of last year when we played Man City, when we were 1-0 up and then we went down to 10 men. And literally we just for the second half, tried to hold on, made it really, really difficult for them. Got a lot of people behind the ball and then just tried to catch them on the counter. Probably not as much as what Chelsea caught us on the counter, but tried to catch them on the counter attack. And then they squeezed the goal right at the end. And it turned out to be a very, very good point for them. And I think for me as an Arsenal fan, obviously yesterday I was disappointed because you see it as a missed opportunity. Stamford Bridge, they're on form. This would have been a chance to really put one over them. But then when I wake up this morning and I think about it, I'm like, well, exactly what you said. I'm like, actually, we take a point because that point that we've taken is the point is with a rival, which, that still keeps them 6 points behind us. Right. Yeah. So, they've gained nothing on us from that game. City, as you said, they're still 5 points behind. So overall, when you look at the week that Arsenal just had, we started off straight after an international break with a North London derby. Then you got to go and play Bayern Munich, then Chelsea away. I think if you come away from that with 7 points, you can't be too down on the team. And also, especially when, I got that team sheet yesterday and all week we were we were sort of discussing on AFTV and we were saying, who do we go for? Mosquera or Hincapie? Mosquera or Hincapie? And then I'm like, I'm like, hey, hold on, they're both playing. I'm like, where's Saliba? And, I think that showed a little bit, even though the two of them are very good players and have done well when they've come in, but they've done well when they've come in alongside either Saliba or Gabriel. The two of them first time playing together, you saw, we don't normally get done by a set piece like that, and we did. So I think we take the point and get out, but Caicedo, what was he doing? I think you saw there a player, and a few of the Chelsea players, I thought Cucurella as well were guilty of it, playing a bit too much on emotions. Very good players, but they needed to settle down a bit.
Yeah, I thought I don't rate Anthony Taylor. It wasn't his worst game. And people never understand this, but I felt that he booked Subamendi first, and I was like, mate, you've just let two fouls go worse than that. I think it was Cucurella and it might have been Caicedo. And I'm like, it's a London derby. let it go a little bit. I know technically it's a yellow card, but as soon as he gives that yellow card, and I think it impacted Arsenal a bit as well, because you want to be aggressive against 11 men, against 10 men, but you had so many players on yellow cards, they couldn't really go in for tackles because then you're down to. So I thought Anthony Taylor managed it badly, but the Caicedo red card, I've got to say, I was disappointed because it changes the complex of the game. But when I was trying to say, is that a red card? But it was, he knows exactly what he's doing. And
break someone's ankle like that.
Yeah, he did. And, I think there was a bit of did he try and win the ball? But you don't try and win the ball like that. So, look, I think from Arsenal's point of view as well, Robbie, the fact that you've got this midweek fixtures as well makes it that point even better. Because if you play on Wednesday and beat Brentford, that becomes an even better point. And then Chelsea have got a couple of difficult away games. And then you've got Villa on Saturday. So the games, I think if there's a time to take a slightly disappointing draw away from home, that was the time. And ultimately, I don't think it'll be a bad point in a 38-game season.
Yeah, good win for Man United, though.
Yeah. I mean, first half, we were absolutely dreadful. And then second half, technically, it's 2 set pieces that Palace you'd expect to defend both better because that's what they're good at. But I thought Amrin was really honest again after the game, made some strange decisions before it, said some strange things before it. But afterwards, he basically said, we showed some intensity in the second half and Crystal Palace were tired. And I said this in our preview, Palace were playing Thursday night in France, and then they've got to play midday on Sunday. I mean, I don't care whether that's Palace or Arsenal or United. That's a terrible turnaround. So we took advantage of that. And this is why it's so disappointing we didn't beat Everton, because Palace was a difficult fixture, but there was a really big advantage. So, look, fair play. We came back, we won. It's a big 3 points for us. It puts us back up in amongst the race for top 5. But we're playing some dreadful football at the moment. We really are. But take the win.
First half was poor. But you know what it is I think with United, I always say this, right? They do, if the game's going to be tight, and I thought Palace could have killed you off in that first half, missed chances from Mateta and also from Nketiah. If you don't kill off United, they do have quality. Don't think that these players, right, that some of the players that Manchester United have invested a lot of money in are quality players, right? So they may be having a tough time as a team, but as individuals, those players can come with moments, and they did yesterday. And that was a big, big win for Manchester United, as it was a big, big win for Liverpool. Alexander Isak finally off the mark. And first of all, we've got to say, rest in peace, Billy Bonds. And West Ham paid tribute to him yesterday. That was shocking news that came out that the West Ham legend had passed away. But Liverpool, fair play to them. It's not always going to be an easy game. You're under pressure. Then, the crowd are going to be more up for it at West Ham because of what happened. But as a good win for Liverpool, and as I said, Alexander Isak getting off the mark.
Yeah, I thought they were. I thought they were decent. I sort of had it on straight after the United game, and then looking forward to your game. I was sort of keeping an eye on a couple of matches, Villa as well. But I think Liverpool battled, and West Ham are always going to give you a battle, especially at home now. They've got Nuno. Good goal. It was a good goal by Isak, and they dropped Salah as well. I mean, look, if he loses that game, I think there's huge pressure on him. I think that gives him a lot of leeway now if they can pick up a couple of wins and start to rebuild. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether Liverpool are out of the woods yet, but it was better. They seemed more focused. Maybe taking Salah out gives you that little bit more work ethic when you need some work. So I think Slot got it all right yesterday, and I think it's some people say it's only West Ham, but West Ham that was a potential difficult game, and they had to battle for it. So I think you take that as a Liverpool fan and say, look, move on to the next one, definitely.
What does he do in the next game with Salah?
Just looking at who they've got next. They're at home to Sunderland, aren't they? I mean, that's not easy. Sunderland have been to Chelsea and won. Sunderland have been brilliant at home. So they'll come and be very energetic and well organised. But they do give you space. And Salah with a bit of space, that might be a bit of a spark. I wouldn't be surprised if he started him, really. But then again, he might not. But look, I still think he's a good player.
Yeah, I don't think he's an easy player to leave out for a few games. One game, maybe. It'd be interesting if he left him out for a few games, what his reaction would be. A couple of results from yesterday. Big win for Brighton, beating Nottingham Forest by 2-0. Could have been more. And Villa scraping. Is this, again, we see that sort of fatigue that comes from playing on a Thursday night. But they were very lethargic against Wolves. Wolves could have got a result in the game, had goals disallowed, but it was Villa with absolute screamer who came out 1-0 on top. And Villa are going well, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, look, Wolves got a new manager. I mean, we were saying last week that we think it's a bit of a prison palace, but they were better. They were better, but they just can't score goals. And it's a great goal by Villa. And I think as a Villa fan, you'd wake up this morning and go, probably looked at it over the weekend and thought a straightforward win. But sometimes, winning like that keeps the ball rolling. It's still a win. So they're going to struggle with Thursday night football, though. We've seen it, as I said, with Palace, and Villa will struggle with that. It killed us last season, and Spurs. So I think Villa at the moment flying high. Got to try and get as many points as they can.
Yeah, Manchester City on Saturday, 3-2, but wow, they only just pulled it off. Foden with a big winning goal there. I mean, Man City, listen, it's a win is a win, and you're going to get wins like that throughout the season where team that you expected to beat that you only just scrape, but they do seem like a team that can be got at City at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was all ready for my Man City in crisis video at 2-2, and then Phil Foden scored it. But look, it's a 90-minute game. United have done that, or used to do that quite a lot. Fair play to City. I mean, I do think City are a better team to watch this year. This is the best I've seen City play under Pep. Maybe it just suits my style of football, but I think they're a better team to watch. Unfortunate for Leeds, especially when they're down where they are. It'd be devastating. But for Man City, that just shows a bit of character at a time where we still don't know if anyone's going to challenge Arsenal. I mean, people say Arsenal dropping points, but you've got to show the consistency in second place. So big 3 points for City. And again, they've got some interesting games, Fulham away coming up as well. Can they, it's them or Chelsea for me. And as I say, sometimes you've got to win playing badly, haven't you? That was a good result.
Yeah, you mentioned their Fulham away at Spurs. What a result!
I bet you wish you'd gone with a Spurs win there, because you were humming and ahhing about it. I couldn't see it, and there they've gone and done it again.
Yeah, Fulham win, you mean? Not Spurs win.
Yeah, not Spurs win. Yeah, I mean, bloody hell.
Spurs are dreadful at home at the moment. I don't know what it is about them at home, but again, another really poor display. The goalkeeper Vicario with a massive. I mean, you say Vicario made a mistake, yes. But no defenders got back to even try and help him out. And it was a great finish by Wilson. And it was a deserved win, right? Deserved win by Fulham. But Spurs, I mean, Thomas Frank, there's going to be, serious questions. I'm on about those sort of questions that lead to players, to managers getting sacked, being answered. If he don't start getting it together, when you started to get into this period, as you approach that January transfer window, you can't be losing so many games. 3 games in a row now for Spurs, if you include during the week in the Champions League. And what's gone wrong with them this season? They started off all right.
I was just looking at his next 2 games, Newcastle away and then Brentford at home. I mean, we know the connotations of Brentford at home, don't we? I mean, if he loses both of those, I mean, could he get the sack? But the trouble with Spurs is look, Ange lost over 20 games last year. I mean, technically, I think people think that Frank is taking over a Spurs side that's decent because they're in the Champions League. Trust me, Spurs and Man United were not decent last year. They were just in a tournament that wasn't that good. I think Thomas Frank will be under pressure, but when you think about it, really should he be? Those players are really bad. Like, they really just sometimes don't turn up.
He's got now Mohamed Kudus. He's got Xavi Simons, Kolo Muani, all added to that team. He's got his
they're all attackers, aren't they?
Big Ange last year had a load of injuries, right? He's got his full back 4, right? With Romero was out because he stupidly got himself another card, so he was out. But I don't think he has as much excuses as what Ange had last year, because Ange did have a lot of injuries. Like, obviously Ange was playing this crazy football, but he doesn't seem to have found a style of play. And the fans are now starting to get on him. Well, the way they booed Vicario, I couldn't believe it.
No, and he was one of the ones who came out last week and spoke I can't remember what loss it was last week, but he came out afterwards and was like really, spoke really, really well. But I think, look, Thomas Frank plays a certain brand of football that's never going to be as easy on the eye as even Ange was. So I don't really get the criticism of that. The players don't seem to want to play that style or understand it. And the players also are predominantly the same in the midfield and the defence who switched off last season. And I think when Man United have this, like when you've got players like Arsenal who give their everything every game, but at Spurs, they've got players who turn it on and off when they want. Thomas Frank players are players that need to give it every single game when you look at Brentford. And I think he needs proper support across that team. And there's no point sacking a manager after 3 months. Like, I thought Thomas Frank was an intelligent appointment for a Spurs side that needed to, find an identity again and an ability to turn up every week. He might get the sack, Robbie. Look, results drive everything, but I don't see a manager coming in and doing much better, because Spurs, for me, their problem is can't win games at home. That's bread and butter. Like, your players should turn up at home. And I mean, it's not acceptable.
Yeah, Big Ange after 13 games, 20 points, right? Thomas Frank after 13 games, 18 points.
Well, there's not much of an improvement, is there?
He better start getting it together, because we know what happened to Big Ange. All right. Talking of Brentford, big win for them, 3-1 winners over Burnley. And again, Igor Thiago on the score sheet. And very impressive by Sunderland again. 2-0 down at home. They came from behind to win by 3-2. That is a team that is making home a fortress. And Newcastle, that was very impressive. 4-1 winners away at Everton. Everton would obviously have been on a high after beating Man United on Monday, but they got taken apart. Newcastle could have won by more.
That's the first time I've sort of looked at a Newcastle result and gone, that's the Newcastle I expect. I think that's the Newcastle under Eddie Howe, where, they've had a really strange start to the season. Let's see if they can kick on from there, because that's the sort of Newcastle that I think is a top 5 team in the Prem, and that's the first time we've really seen it. So I don't know what's gone on at Newcastle this week that's made them do that, but let's see what they do against Tottenham this week, because that, if they can go and beat Tottenham well as well, I think Newcastle become a threat again, because it's so congested in the Premier League at the moment. People say Liverpool are out of it. That win puts you right back up again. So Newcastle got an opportunity to get back in the mix now.
Yeah. And what about Sunderland? They're doing bits.
I thought the bubble was going to burst. I turned it on and it was like 2-0. And I thought, Bournemouth have been bad recently. Sunderland at home, and there we go. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I mean, they've got no problem of going down. It's just about how high they can finish. And they've just been a great success and a real good blueprint for newly promoted teams as well.
Yeah, have a go. Let's take a look at the table then. At the bottom, it's Wolves, still rock bottom, still no wins this season. 2 points. They're going. Burnley on 10 points, second from bottom. And Leeds, despite a really good fight against Manchester City, they remain in the bottom 3 on 11. Just above them, though, there are teams that they can reel in, because West Ham are on 11, Forest are on 12 in 17th and 16th place. So it's still very tight down at the bottom. At the top, Arsenal, still top of the league by 5 points now on 30. Manchester City in second place on 25. Chelsea stay, they dropped to third. They were second. They're on 24 points. On the same amount of points to them is Aston Villa in fourth place on 24. Into the Champions League places are Brighton on 22.
Brilliant.
Sunderland on 22. Man United in seventh on 21, just above Liverpool. We're also on Man United above Liverpool. It's crazy, isn't it? Right? When you consider what people were saying at the start of the season. So, it's very interesting. Very tight, as you said. Let's get into our team of the week.
I think we're going to have a few different ones today.
Okay. I went Emi Martinez in goal. I thought he made some great saves in that game to keep Wolves out.
Yeah, I didn't keep an eye on that game as much, so I'd bow down to your greater knowledge. I put Sanchez of Chelsea, and I thought he had a good game, but I didn't see the Villa game, so maybe Martinez had a better one.
I thought Martinez done well. Give us your back 4.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with this. I've gone Timber, Thiaw, Chalobah, Cucurella.
Oh, Timber. I didn't actually have. I think it's about the first week I didn't have Timber in it. You had Cucurella.
Yeah, I thought against Saka. I know he got a yellow card.
All right, but he got done on the goal though. I had Livramento, Hall, 4 as well. I thought it was brilliant for Newcastle. And Dunk for Brighton, who also had a really, really good game. But who do you say you had?
I had Chalobah because I thought the goal was really good, and I thought Chelsea's centre backs had a good game. I do. Yeah. I know they got the goal, but he was out of position for that one. But no, I think I'm happy with the Newcastle fullbacks getting in. That's not a problem.
All right. Okay. No, but I like your Timber one.
I'm not surprised. Look, I do genuinely think he's head and shoulders the best right back in the league, and the work he gets through. I thought he had a good game. I do.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's go. Hold up 1 sec. I'm just adjusting it here. Hold up. Whoops. Sorry. Right. Midfield.
I got Reece James. I thought Lewis Miley was brilliant for Newcastle, and I went for Lefay at Sunderland.
Okay, I've gone Xhaka Sunderland again. I thought, he was a great assist, real leadership qualities. James I had in there as well. I thought he had a really good game in midfield for Chelsea. And Harry Wilson, what a goal that was, man. He played really, really well. He's got to be in there for that. That's a goal of the weekend for me. He's got so much ability, yes. So that was what
you got to put Reece James in there. I mean, Lewis Miley had a good game. I think he had a good game anyway, but I think he got a goal and an assist against Everton, which is, he's not been playing much either. So, and Lefay played well for Sunderland. Xhaka played well. So, yeah.
I like Lewis Miley, but the Fulham one, and it was against Spurs. Yeah, come on, Wilson, you're in, mate. Right, up front.
I bet we're really different on this. I got Phil Foden.
Yep.
Cody Gakpo and Voltemeda.
Ooh. No, I've gone Phil Foden. Isak, under pressure, gets his first goal, good finish. And Igor Thiago, man, Brentford. This guy is scoring big goal after big goal after big goal, man. And really, when you think of the players they lost Wissa, they lost Nguemo.
Yeah.
He's having a fantastic season. Nobody expected Brentford to be doing what they're doing right now. So that's why I had him in. That's 11. We leave it up to you guys to make your mind up as to who you think we've missed out on. But that's our 11. A few little disputes in there. Let us know what your 11 is out there. But thanks very much to you, Mark. Listen, we're coming back on Mark's channel earlier this week because obviously we've got the midweek games, right? So and it's a full midweek program, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? So jump over onto Mark's channel to check out our predictions for the games that are coming up. But Mark, thank you very much for coming on today. And yeah, the Premier League is still interesting as we move into December and this busy Christmas period. Who's going to come out on top? It's really, really interesting this year. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thank you very much. Speak to you in a bit.